Excellent. Well, hello, Dan, and thank you so much for joining me today. I really wanted to get you on because I feel like Black and Blum have an amazing story, and I love to help companies and designers to tell their story. And I think so much of it can be missed just looking on a website, and it's only really when you talk to the person behind the brand that you get that passion and that real enthusiasm for what they do. So I thought it'd be really nice to just have a chat with you today all about what you do, where the company's going, and yeah, basically your vision and your mission. So I guess the best place to start is probably at the beginning. So can you tell us?
Long time ago.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about how it all started?
Yeah, so I studied product design at Northumbria University, and it was a famous course. It has been a famous course because it includes graduates like Johnny Ive. So he was, very much fundamental in Apple, when Steve Jobs was there and sort of transforming the company. And so I'm a trained product designer. Before I went to university, I didn't really know what product design was. I've always been interested in products, but you say you're a designer and people obviously think about graphics or, web or something like that. But, as a product designer, you learn about manufacturing and different physical products. And I'm interested in products generally, whether it's antiques or new or old or whatever it is. I'm just interested in products and how they're made and which products that resonate with me. So when I was there, I met a good friend, Martin Bloom, and we started the company pretty much straight out of university. I had 1 year working for a designer called Julian Brown, and I interned at companies like IDEO and Frog Design that was doing projects for people like Apple. And we started off as a consultancy. So the first 2 years we were designing products for other people, and out of a brief for lighting, and this was in 1998, a long time ago, we created our first range of lighting. And that was the sort of start of Black and Blum as a company who design and sell their own range of products. And that took over from a consultancy, and we've done hundreds of products, ranging from candelabras, barbecues, kitchenware, tabletop, all sorts of different things. The journey from starting with simple things like door stops to where we are now has been an interesting journey. But we're a different company now than when we first started.
So now you mostly focus on sort of food products, like food packaging products to lunch boxes and food accessories. What made you really niche down into that?
I bought my business partner Martin Bloom, my ex-business partner Martin Bloom, out from the company 7 years ago, and at the time we basically always started the project with a blank piece of paper. So we had no fixed category, no fixed aesthetic or material. And it was very interesting, but very hard to identify as a brand, because if we were in a store, for example, we might have a candelabra in one area, we might have a lunchbox in another, and people might know a product, but they wouldn't know the brand because there was no sort of brand recognition or concentration. And I had I guess I call it a Jerry Maguire moment, where I had an epiphany where the way we market our products is mainly to retailers. We sell obviously through our website, but you would go to a trade show and you show your products to different companies. And I went to, when you do sort of 5 to 7 trade shows a year and you see these massive buildings filled with product, it's pretty horrible with the current realization of the sort of environmental state we're in as a world. There's too many products in the world, and product designers, play their part, are guilty if they bring products into the world that shouldn't exist. So I had my epiphany of going, I only want to develop products which, serve a purpose, have a function, help people lead a more sustainable lifestyle, deserve to exist. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of carbon footprint to bring a product into the world. And if we're going to do it, they need to be good products. So it was 5 years ago where we set out the goal of saying, right, every product we do from now on really needs to deserve to exist, and to help the people who buy those products to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. So the area, the category of food and drink on the go is a lovely category. And as a designer, it's always exciting when you find a category which you think hasn't really been touched, done the way that you think it deserves to be done, and you can innovate. And so when we did our first lunchbox and water bottle, we did our first lunchbox, I think 13 years ago. And at the time, people had food containers that they were using as lunchboxes. Children got fun lunchboxes, but adults got boring sort of waxy plastic food containers. And we did the first Western lunchbox. You know, you might have had a Japan in culture where they had dedicated bento boxes, but those weren't quite right for the Western market, the types of food that we take. And so we were innovative in the sense of having the first dedicated sort of adult lunchbox. And so we had these kind of products in the range where we also were selling candelabras at the time, but we weren't focused on that one category. And so we took the decision 5 years ago to say, right, this is the area we're going to focus in. And what's interesting is there isn't one lunchbox or one water bottle or one travel cup for everyone. You know, it's that people have different tastes, different sizes, different materials that resonate with them. And so I think now, out of any company in our category, we really do offer something very unique, and having better products for people who want to take food and drink on the go with them.
What really struck me about your company when I first discovered you, is probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, was the material choice, because I was used to seeing like plastic lunchboxes. So I was really pleasantly surprised to see, the stainless steel lunchbox with the little compartments inside and the wooden lids, because like you say, it's kind of a grown-up option, and it feels sensible, but it feels like quite exciting at the same time. And I've not seen a metal lunchbox before, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't have ever looked for one. It hadn't occurred to me that you could have, or that you would need a metal lunchbox, but it was a really nice just a really nice option to have. So when it comes to material choices, what is it that you're looking for, and what made you go with the materials that you use now?
I'm going to quickly jump up and grab a product, because we've got it in the showroom. So this is my grandfather's old mess tin, when he was a Boy Scout. And I remember my mum giving it to me when he died, and what resonated is the fact that it has aged well. This in an antique shop still has a value. It somehow gets better with age, with dents and marks and patinas. And I got from him this and his old silver fountain pen that he'd obviously used every day. And so much design nowadays is bright, shiny. We're all magpies with a new piece of technology, but products which don't have technology often aren't designed to age well. So for me, seeing Indian tiffin boxes which weren't leak-proof, or army mess tins which weren't leak-proof, or camping tins, I thought there was an opportunity of doing one which was leak-proof. And we did the first 100% leak-proof, all stainless steel lunchbox. And the same with the bamboo lid. We were the first company to do a lunchbox with a bamboo lid. There's lots of people who have copied us, but we were the first. And it was out of a sense of using materials which get better with age. And as a company, we've always been taught about, and I've forgotten the name of the famous designer, you might know it, who's sort of the turn of the sort of 19th century, who was an arts and crafts designer, who basically said, have nothing in your house that you don't believe to be useful or beautiful. And if I can look it up now, and I can tell you who it was, and I should know it, but and I think we've always tried to do that with products, but especially with functional products like a lunchbox or a water bottle. And we've seen, a mass sort of glut of people having colorful water bottles, and sort of it's all about fashion almost. And we wanted to sort of go the other way. So we keep color to a minimum on purpose so that we show through the natural raw materials. And we want the products to get better with age. So when we design a product, we talk about products with soul. Yeah. So if I look at my, I can give you lots of examples, but my leather wallet, or a belt, or a product which you use every day. I've got, it's not the best example, but I've got, when I was a student, we had a local IKEA near the university, and I have a, sort of a wood spatula, that's my go-to spatula still today, and it's burnt and marked, but I know that's the spatula I'm going to use. And if we design a product and we can get into it, and it's very hard with plastic because plastic doesn't always age well, but if we can get into a product soul where it becomes your go-to product and it gets marked and damaged and tells a story, then it's a success. And it will also mean it's more sustainable because it will last longer. So when we design a product, for sure, certain elements might fail or get lost over time, but we always keep spare products as well, so people can keep the product going with the bits that don't need to be replaced.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we found out recently. We didn't know that you were doing that. So when we've had your products for a couple of years, like we've got this one that you sent, you can see all the marks and the dents,
love
and
it.
the magnets have come off, and I don't know where the spoon is now because my husband stole this as soon as I got it, because it's leak proof, and he works in like garden landscaping. So your products are amazing for him because they're so hard wearing, so durable. He can throw them in the back of the van, and yes, they might get dented, but they still work perfectly. And he was really upset that his lunchbox had, like, the seal had gone. And he was like, oh, it's lasted about 5 years. It's such a shame that I just need to get a new one when the bottom half is so, you know, it's still perfectly useful, but just that seal is broken. And I went onto the website to buy a new one and noticed that there were replacement parts. And that was what made me feel like you guys are really living your values, because so many companies, yes, they design sustainable products, but then you still have to, if a bit of it breaks, you still have to replace the whole thing and get rid of a mostly fine product that works just because one small component has failed. And obviously that's more money in the manufacturer's pocket if they can sell more items. But for you, just being able to buy the spare part and then that product can live on.
No, it's not probably not most commercial, but it feels much nicer. And you know, we try to be as sustainable as possible. So we're 1% for the Planet members. So if you don't know, 1% was founded by Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, or he co-founded it. And he just obviously just gave his company to charity. And so we give 1% of our turnover each year to sustainable charities. And we work with a lovely food charity called City Harvest, where we all volunteer as well. And basically it's all about collecting surplus food. And we also give money to trees for cities. So we're planting trees in cities. But I think if you can, sustainably generally as products, you know, it takes a lot of energy to make a product. And we also had to sort of educate our suppliers, you know, so we do make our products in China. We're not shy about saying that. We work with great quality factories, and for our type of product, we have to make in China, because if you made in this country, sadly, it would be sort of, you know, probably at least double the price.
Yeah.
And I don't think people would be prepared to sort of pay that. Plus, we also sell worldwide. So we have to make the product somewhere. Actually shipping, we don't air freight, but shipping the products is only a very small part of the carbon footprint. So actually, in some ways, it's more efficient in some ways because we sell internationally to actually make in China. But we had to educate these suppliers and say, no, we want products not to fail, because it somehow, some of those suppliers there, it's like, you know, this product will fail and then people will buy a new one. And we're like, no, we don't want to do that. We want this product to last them. They only buy once. They, you know, the whole expression of educating them and our customers about buy once, buy well. We're not the cheapest, but we create unique designs. And I love the expression, you know, you're not, I'm not rich enough to buy cheap products.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Like, you end up, if you're buying cheap and having to replace them, it costs you so much more in the long run. But what I also love about your products is they're not exclusive price-wise, because a lot of sustainable design, you want to buy the best that you can buy that's going to last, but you do pay a real premium for that. Whereas, yes, yours are slightly more expensive, but it's not inaccessible to, you know, the everyday public. And considering, you know, we've had this for like 5 years now and it's still going strong, like that's an incredible investment money wise for something that's lasted that long already. And knowing that if, you know, we lost the seal or something, or, you know, we could replace that and keep it going. And I loved when you said about having products with soul, because as soon I read that in one of the interviews that you've done, and I thought that's exactly it. That's what it feels like. Because I was trying to pinpoint what it was that really made you guys stand out to me, and I couldn't quite articulate what it was, but it's that if they feel like they have soul, and they do get better with age, and they do, I don't know, it feels like a personal thing. Like when my husband stole all my stuff, I was like, oh, that's my stuff, you've taken it. But he loved it so much because you do get this kind of ownership over it because it tells the story.
Yeah, no, I think it was kind of growing up, and it was always cowboy films where you get prospect towns in California doing gold rush, and that shop would only sell more, you know, utilitarian products that were useful. Yeah. And there's a few shops nowadays which still do that, like Labor and Weight, and you know, they sell modern utilitarian products, and you know that the products that they sell, they're not decorative, they're not gadgets, they're not gimmicks. So the last thing we want to design is a product which you get given and you put in a drawer and you never use. We want products to be used every day, you know, then it justifies them being made.
Can you talk to me a little bit about kind of some of the smaller details? Because I think that's what sets you apart as well, is some of the really, I suppose they might be unnoticed by a lot of people. Like the thing when I had your email the other day and you mentioned about these little lids being able to replace the cling film if you wanted to heat it.
Like I'm going to be jumping up and down to grab samples.
I mean, that factor completely passed me by. I didn't even think that I could use that instead of, you know, putting wrap on to save on the cling film use if I wanted to heat it. And I think so many of the little details that have gone into it, they're so easy to miss if you don't pick up on it, or you haven't got that same mindset of designing for sustainability.
It's the advantage of online sales, I guess. You get the opportunity to really tell people the story behind the product. So that product you're referring to is our glass lunch bowl. We have 3 different sizes. And when we started work on it, we noticed that people were moving away from plastic and wanted glass food containers, because obviously glass is taste neutral, it's plastic free, BPA free. It's a nice material to sort of eat from. But at the time, the problem was the ones on the market weren't fully leak proof and they were glass food containers. So the type of manufacturing of glass that they were using, it's heavy glass. It's like a Pyrex almost. So it's not designed for on the go. So we wanted to come up with a lightweight, leak-proof glass food container. So what you've got is a stainless steel top, which is very strong for the protecting the glass in the weakest possible part, which is the top. And then you've got a PP polypropylene with wood fiber base. And again, we could have just gone for polypropylene, but somehow adding wood fiber, sustainable wood fiber to the plastic makes it almost feel like a wood. And just means that you don't normally throw a piece of wood in the bin. It somehow has a value to it and it will get better. And so making that, it's just a lovely combination of materials. It's got a silicon non-slip foot, but then the innovation is the fact that on the inside, you've got a lightweight borosilicate glass inner. So borosilicate is what we use in sort of science glass, and basically it's lightweight but strong. So it's thin wall section. But the nice thing is that is fully oven safe. So silicon is incredibly, heat resistant, and you get silicon cooking mats and things like that. So this is leak proof in this sense. So the way it works is when you screw the lid on, it pushes the lid down. So that makes that fully leak proof. And then we've just put this little valve in here so you can just see it. So that if you are putting this in the microwave, what's nice is you put the base in the microwave, and that allows air to escape so that the lid doesn't pop off and you don't get food splattering on the inside of your microwave. But then the beauty is that this material doesn't take on heat. So when you take it out of the microwave, you don't burn your hands. So it's that little consideration for all those sort of details. And then what's also nice is it helps insulate your food, not to keep it hot, but to keep it cool. So basically, if you put food in here and you don't have access to a fridge when you're traveling, and you need to keep it cool, it will lock in the coolness. It won't allow it to get hot. So it's just a really functional product. It's not easy to sell in a shop because people, unless they take the lid off, they won't necessarily realize it's glass. But once they discover it, it's lovely. And there's lots of nice things when people discover little bits of functionality of a product. Like I've got one here. We did our first lunchbox, as I said, sort of 13 years ago, and this is sort of the Mark II version of it. So lots of functionality. It's got 4 clips, so it really is fully leak proof. You could literally put a soup in here and it wouldn't leak. But nothing moves around, basically when it's in its closed position, so things aren't rattling. And then what's also nice is if you say, for example, here you've got a sauce pot which is leak proof, you've got a little area on the top where you can put garnish. So if you want to dress your salad just before you eat it, you're not getting a soggy salad. And then I'll just show you one detail because it's a sort of a little bit of not serendipity, but sort of it's lovely when people discover detail. So if, for example, you're taking this as sort of a big leafy salad. So you fill that and you haven't got an area for the fork. The fork actually can slide in to this area.
Nice, yeah. So
you can slide it in under the clip. And people wouldn't necessarily know that straight away, but when they discover it after the event and are starting to use it, it's a really nice feature.
It is. It's just those little clever details that make it sort of really elevated in terms of its sort of functionality.
Yeah, one more, just because it's keep coming up.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to talk about this one.
Yeah, there's lots of glass water bottles on the market, and we do it with silicone, or this is a wood fiber sleeve. But again, ours is slightly different because it's difficult to make. We have to find a factory who can do it. But basically, the thread is on the inside, yeah. So it means you've got a smooth outer lip, which just makes it a better drinking experience. And again, we could have easily just said, no, put the thread on the outside. It's easier to make, but just doing those little bit of extra thought, it doesn't cost, it doesn't take us any more time to do it. It's harder to source and manufacture, but it's a nicer product.
But it's just those little ideas that make you think, oh, how genius, why doesn't everyone do this? But that's what sets you apart. But when
most of the companies in our sector, what they will do is they'll find an existing product offered by a factory, they put their logo on, they might even change the shape a little bit, but they don't really innovate. And when because we're product designers, we're a design company, we design the product from scratch. So it gives us the ability to say, how do we improve it? And we won't do a product just for a product's sake. I'm showcasing here a new product, a tumbler, which we're launching later next year, but this will be the first tumbler that has a clear lid and is fully leak proof. There isn't a tumbler on the market which is fully leak proof and has a clear lid.
So when you're deciding what you are going to design, what does that process look like then? While you're looking for the product that you can innovate in, how does that process look?
We look at what our existing range has and where the gaps are, and genuinely we want to find an area where basically we can innovate the most, where we can make a point of difference. As I said, we don't want to just bring more products. If there's a product out there which is solving it perfectly, then there's no point to us coming on with just more product.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a lot more soft goods now. So again, jumping up, we should have a lot more products on hand. This is, we're not bag designers, but we felt there was a gap in the market for doing lunch bags. So this is our lunch bag, and what's nice is it's made from recycled PET bottles on the outside. And you can actually fit this lunchbox flat in it. It's amazing how much it holds. So it folds.
You can fit a lot in that lunchbox, in that bag.
Yeah, so it's got a sort of metal G hook on the top, so you unclip that. But what's really nice about it is the fact that on the inside you've got an insulated lining, which is also food safe. And the reason it stays up, so you can look inside, what's amazing is that's empty. So you think it was holding its shape, and the reason it holds its shape is because it's also welded. So it's like a dry sack. So you could even put ice in here. You could put, liquid in here. It's amazing. It's fully sealed. So just being able to innovate and go, we're going to do a lunch bag which is very versatile, but just performs better than other ones on the market.
It's nice that it folds down so flat as well for storage.
Yeah, exactly. So when you open it up, you can just, yeah.
So what's next? What other things are you working on at the moment?
We've got, as I said, we've got a tumbler, we've got a tote bag. We have just got, this is a new range coming early next year. We have 5 different sizes, but basically we've got a sort of slightly simpler lunchbox range coming out. And this is, if I can take this off, this is what's really nice about this is basically it's microwave safe stainless steel. And that's due to the material and the shape. But what's very nice about it is people with stainless steel lunchboxes often want to heat their food.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is you don't have to then decant it in something else to then heat it up in a microwave. So it's got a very simple sort of vacuum seal lid. So basically the way that it works, like our existing other lunchboxes, they have a, well, some of them are stainless steel ones. You've got this clip on the top, and basically all you do is unclip it. So that's basically locked and I can't open it. It's vacuum sealed. And all I do is push that in, and then that allows me to open it up because you're allowing air in, so you break the vacuum. And so when you microwave, you basically push the lid on, you can hear the air escape, have the vent open, and that basically, when you microwave stainless steel, you're not passing the radiation, the microwaves through the stainless steel, but it's heating the steel. But because it's got a lid on, it basically traps the heat inside. And what's nice is having 3 different sizes, and you can then basically nest them, you can stack them, and so people who are doing, whether it's storing food or meal prep is obviously is something that's growing at the moment. So you batch cook, and you might then have 5 of these that you make, for your food throughout the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to my husband the other day about like trying to send the kids to school with snacks, and the school always send home emails saying, make sure it's a healthy snack. We don't want any packets of stuff. So I've been trying to get like little healthy snacks for them. But where does all the plastic Tupperware stuff go? Like, I don't know where it disappears to. And you always find the lids missing or whatever. But with all of your stuff, I don't know whether it is because you have that personal connection to it. Nothing ever gets lost. You don't, everything's just where you need it, and because you're using it every day. But yeah, little tiny pots, that's my personal request, little snack pots for like the kids' lunch boxes would be amazing, because trying to send them in, I bought a bento box, but that was no good because I couldn't fit sandwiches in it, or like, the bigger lunch items, and I didn't want to give them like the micro sandwiches cut up into a tiny department. So I always give them like a proper lunch box. But then all those little fiddly snacks that you want to send in and you want to protect it in their lunch bag, really struggle to find products as good as yours that you can send those in. So that would be my request.
We've got a whole kids range designed, and we're just waiting to sort of launch it. It's
fantastic.
It normally takes us 2 years basically to go from starting sketching to the product being available. But it's a very big, it's a big investment to sort of go, we're doing it. So we have to sort of fine tune when we launch products and get the journey correct.
Yeah. Oh, that's really exciting though, because I love the fact that it's available for adults. But yeah, I would love to be able to have similar products for the kids, because all the stuff that is on the market for kids, it's just not as nice, frankly.
No, I think with kids, it's a funny market in the sense of, a 4-year-old will eat very differently to a 10-year-old. And if you're designing something for children, I don't like children's products where they only last for 2 years, 4 years. What with our design, which will come to market at some point, it's designed very much to basically cater for all ages, and it can graduate from being a children's lunchbox into an adult lunchbox. And what's lovely is if you basically have a lunchbox which you have school memories of, and it might have stickers on it and things like that, but you still want to use it as an adult, then it's a success.
Totally, yeah. Oh, that's really exciting then. Brilliant. Well, is there anything else that you think we should know about before we clock off?
No, I think I think the amazing thing about what we're doing is the benefits it brings. So obviously the sustainability in terms of reducing your single-use packaging, whether it's for travel cups, water bottles or lunch boxes, you're reducing the amount of packaging waste that you create. There's obviously also the health benefits in terms of knowing what you're eating, portion control. There's also the sustainable benefits of food waste. If you think about the amount of, apparently it has a higher carbon footprint, the amount of food waste people, if they don't take their own food with them. So if you're batch cooking, or you're basically making sure you eat up waste food, so you're not throwing food out, that has a huge benefit. And obviously at the moment, the financial benefits, the amount of money you can save by, taking the time just to be organized and sort of take your own food with you.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of money that you can spend by just buying it on the fly every day. And that's one of the things that I love about your stuff, is it does encourage me to take my own lunch every day. I've got no excuse to do it. And yeah, the amount of packaging that you end up just throwing out by buying lunch every day, it's just crazy. Oh, thank you so much, Dan, for sharing your story with us. And it's been really lovely chatting with you. I'm just gonna stop the recording.